The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
Terence Crosbie, a firefighter from Dublin, came to Boston to be part of the St. Patrick's Day parade, but now faces serious rape charges and is on trial on court TV. During opening statements, prosecutors described surveillance and DNA evidence suggesting Crosbie returned to the victim's hotel room and assaulted her while she was asleep. The defense counters that the accuser gave consent to another man and argues the DNA results are not conclusive. As witnesses take the stand and the courtroom pulses with tension, the accuser herself tells her story. Who was in that room and what really happened? Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the search for 23-year-old Kata Scott has turned from desperate to chilling. The aspiring Miss USA hopeful vanished after her shift at a Philadelphia assisted living facility, leaving her car, phone, and belongings behind. Detectives say surveillance footage and phone data led them to 21-year-old Keon King, now charged with kidnapping. Police believe evidence found near an abandoned school may hold the key to finding Kata, but tonight her whereabouts remain a heartbreaking mystery. But first, he was once one of America's favorite sitcom sons, Darius McCrary, who played the wisecracking Eddie Winslow on the 90s hit series Family Matters. Fans remember his charm, his grin, and his chemistry with the ever-lovable Urkel. But this week, McCrary made headlines for a very different reason, appearing in a California courtroom, not as an actor, but as a defendant. He chose to represent himself, standing before the judge without an attorney by his side. The once beloved TV star seemed determined to take control of his own story. But what happened next in court surprised everyone. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. We've got a big hour ahead of us. And I want to begin here talking about, something important. I think family matters to all of us, doesn't it? Right? Whether you're, you think about your parents, your siblings, and then when you get older, your spouse, your children, and then if you're fortunate enough, your grandchildren. At the end of the day, isn't that what is really important? And I think that was part of the draw of this iconic 1990s sitcom called Family Matters. You may remember Urkel as the star, but did you remember Eddie Winslow, who was played by Darius McCrary, who was the older brother and sort of, there's that tension, the back and forth between him and Urkel. And they became part of our lives. For those of us who were watching TV in the 90s, it was an iconic show. And a lot of lessons were learned by young people watching that show. But the theme was so important. Dad was a police officer, and everyone at the end would always come together. Now, here's what I'm wondering tonight. I wonder if family matters to Darius McCrary. Why? Because apparently there's a warrant out for him for unpaid support. Child support. You have a family, you take care of your family. That's your responsibility. You don't run away from it. And it seems that maybe the allegation here from prosecutors that he was running away from his obligations, because his obligations were in Michigan and he was on his way to Mexico south of the border, is now in custody in California. And it's this problem in Michigan, these family matters in Michigan, that have put him behind bars and in jail. That's where we are. He gets arrested, the warrant's out, he's in one jurisdiction, they want to get him extradited to another jurisdiction. So it's a hearing, and you've got to appear in front of the judge. And most people have counsel. But Darius McCrary wanted to represent himself. We are going to show you exactly what happened and how that went for the man who was in our living rooms for a decade as Eddie Winslow, now as Darius McCrary, defendant. Take a look.
As relates to the complaint, sir, are you prepared to go forward with your arraignment?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
Please do so.
I wanted to call attention to the emergency motion that I filed. Based on the fact that the 50th District has completely continued to violate all of my rights, my 4th, my 5th, my 14th Amendment, my right to due process is constantly trampled, and I've figured out why, because under due process clause of the 14th Amendment, personal judgment is void if rendered by the court, which has no jurisdiction over the defendant. That's Penmore versus Neff, 95 U.S. 714, 24L, ED 565, and Michigan has no jurisdiction. Before we proceed, we need to establish jurisdiction. It's imperative that we establish jurisdiction.
People?
Your Honor, the people would argue that this motion is not relevant to the proceedings before the court, that it is now time to either admit guilt or not guilt as to the fugitive complaint that the people have filed.
Okay, thank you. Sir, did you care to respond before the court rules on your motion?
There's no injured party, Your Honor. Oh, I'd like to also say I'm here in special appearance.
Special appearing for who?
I'm here on special appearance.
Sir, who are you specially appearing for?
I'm specially appearing for Darius McCrary. I'm here pro per special appearance.
And when you say you are here pro per and special appearance, who are you?
I'm an authorized signatory thereof of the estate, an executor of the estate.
Who's the state?
The McCrary estate.
And your name is?
Darius. I'm the authorized signatory thereof, Darius McCrary.
And your name is?
Darius McCrary.
Okay, thank you. Anything else as it relates to your motion?
I would also like to add that there's been, as far as corpus delicti is concerned, I wanted to know who's the injured party.
The court finds that the issue before this court is the issue of extradition. This court is not the demanding state where many of these issues raised by the defendant may be relevant. This court is tasked with ensuring that the defendant is returned to the demanding state. That will happen either one or two ways. He will waive extradition or he will plead not guilty to the complaint regarding extradition, at which time a governor's warrant will be provided to the court at a later date. Those are the things that this court is tasked with deciding at this point in time. If you have any issues regarding the charges pending against you in the demanding state, then you may raise those in the demanding state. The thing before the court today is the extradition and the extradition only. As it relates to the extradition, is there anything else?
Well, Your Honor, is it possible that we could discuss a bail?
Bail arguments are heard after the entering of a plea has taken place. Again, as it relates to the extradition, are you prepared to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please do.
Meaning?
You're here for an arraignment. You were granted the right to represent yourself. When you made that request, you indicated that you would have the ability, the knowledge, the education to represent yourself in these proceedings. That request was granted. You were advised that you would not receive any special treatment as a pro se litigant, that you would be treated the same as an attorney. You are here for an arraignment on the complaint. Please arraign yourself.
Well, I'm asking, can we discuss bail, Your Honor?
And I have told you that the discussion of bail arguments are conducted after the entering of the plea.
Okay, Your Honor. So I guess I'm playing. What is it? No. I really.
Do you understand the legal proceedings pending before you?
I do, Your Honor. I do, but I wasn't.
So then please proceed with the arraignment.
So I wasn't here. I wasn't aware that we were here to contract today.
Okay, thank you. The court has attempted to conduct the arraignment with Mr. McCrary, and it is evident to the court that he is unable to understand and appreciate the legalities of these proceedings. As such, the court finds good cause to revoke his pro per status. The court appoints the office of the primary public defender's office to represent him. This matter is trailed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Julie Gibson, Office of the Public Defender, on behalf of Mr. Darius McCrary, who is present in custody. Your Honor, we are here for arraignment on the complaint. He's been advised of his constitutional rights, previously signed the acknowledgement. We are entering pleas of not guilty, denial to any and all allegations, asking for appointment of the primary public defender's office, and would like to be heard with regard to his custodial status.
The fugitive is before the court today for absconding or forfeiting bond on a non-payment of child support case out of Michigan. Clearly, Mr. McCrary is not attending to his family matters. He has 2 daughters and 1 son, and this matter is regarding 1 daughter who lives in Michigan. He has previously been ordered to pay child support. As of August 20th of last year, he owed $75,473.26. He owes substantially more at this time. However, Michigan could not give me a figure due to privacy reasons. The defendant has been arrested twice in the past on these same charges, in 2015 and 2023. In 2004, he's been arrested for disturbing the peace. Back in 2023, the fugitive had to be extradited from Los Angeles for these very same charges. The defendant was arrested coming back from Mexico. According to his agent, he was looking at buying real estate down there. He lists his current address as Woodland Hills, which is not in the county of San Diego, but in the county of Los Angeles. He has no ties to San Diego or Michigan. When he left Michigan, he actually had what they describe as a TIVA, which is electronic monitoring, when he left the state of Michigan. For all those reasons, the people would argue that he is a flight risk. He's failed to take care of his obligations back in Michigan. We'd be asking for no bail in this matter.
We're asking the court, again, since there are no failures to appear that he has other than that demanding state, we're asking the court to set bail in the amount of $50,000, an amount for which he can afford, and he will make his court appearances. I've already talked to people that are here on his behalf, that are part of his team and represent that he will be returning to the demanding state. He is ill right now, and so I apologize to the court that it's taken a while to have the conversation, but he is adamant. He is a renowned figure. Everyone knows. That's why there are media here on his behalf, that he's going to appear in court. And I understand what the district attorney is saying with regard to prior incidents, but if they wanted him to appear in court, they had multiple ways to get him, and he did not know of the appearance date. So we're asking the court not to release him on OR, but to set bail in a reasonable amount that is $50,000 for him to make his court appearances.
The court finds that the defendant has previously been extradited, that he was arrested coming back from another country. It has been represented to the court that he has no ties with the demanding state, and most notably that he was on bond previously and absconded. Based upon those factors and findings, the court finds that the defendant is a flight risk, denies his request to set bail. He will continue to be held without bail
Your Honor,
And that is the order of the court.
I apologize. Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, after having previous discussions with Mr. McCrary, he is prepared to admit identity, I think he has, and to waive extradition.
He has not admitted identity.
Your Honor, he does admit identity, and he is asking the court to allow him to sign the extradition paperwork, and so we're getting some now. I did not have them. I'm not sure where they are from before, but that is our request to the court.
Okay, thank you. Sir, are you Mr. Darius McCrary?
Yeah, I'm Darius McCrary. Yeah.
Wow. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, former law enforcement officer, host of the Strong Enough podcast, Claudia King, criminal defense attorney Josh Colesrud, and private investigator Lauren Vellucci. Great to see everyone tonight. Claudia, are you surprised that he gets locked up for not paying child support here? He's in California. He apparently allegedly owes the money in Michigan. What are your thoughts about what we just saw?
I mean, my first thought is it was so incredibly sad to watch, but I'm not surprised he's locked up because basically the attorney's argument was, yeah, I know he skipped out last time, but I promise he'll show up this time.
Yeah, Josh, I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on here. You know, is this a case where, because listening to the way he was representing himself, is he suffering from some level of mental illness? Does he believe he's a sovereign citizen? Is he just confused? Exactly. What do you think's going on here?
Yeah, you know, when I listened to it, my first thought was, oh, this is a sovereign citizen argument or a variation thereof. And for listeners that don't know, sovereign citizen is a type of defense that's more like a cult. And it's where people believe that the U.S. government, the court system, doesn't have jurisdiction over them. The government doesn't have the ability or the right to tax them without their consent. So when he said that Michigan doesn't have jurisdiction and that he's appearing, as a special appearance, that's language that I hear for sovereign citizenship. And oftentimes it's people that have some mental issues that believe in that type of system. And so if I'm a judge listening to what's going on, I'm thinking maybe this person might need to be committed or be seen by some doctors to make sure that he's competent. But he did say who he was. So in this type of proceeding, the only thing that the judge has to do is demonstrate that there's a valid search warrant and that the person before her is the person in the warrant. And, so luckily that's what happened.
Lauren, what did we just see?
We saw someone who didn't get the memo that only a fool represents himself. So I hope that his children are kind of encouraging him to get a lawyer because, to be in jail for this, it is serious because this is multiple times that he didn't show up at court where he needed to. So having been a fan of Family Matters, this part of me, it's hard to see. So I hope he can get his life turned back around and get some mental health help. I do agree with Josh on that as well. He's got a couple things going on, I think.
Absolutely. And take care of your children, please. Okay. Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, we've got updates in the disappearance of Kata Scott out of Philadelphia, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates a paid fetish scene turns deadly in Escondido, California. She filmed, he died. Now she stands accused of murder while digital evidence threatens to expose the darkest corners of consent. Was this a role play gone wrong or something far more sinister? Tonight, we investigate.
The Court TV podcast will return.
Our office, as of the early morning hours, into the early morning hours this morning, did charge this individual with charges, the lead charge being kidnapping. You know, as we've said multiple times at this point, we do not know where Miss Scott is. So at this point, our lead charge is kidnapping. He did have a previous case. It was a 2025 case for very similar conduct, strangulation and kidnapping. That case had been withdrawn by our office based on the witness failing to appear at court. I pulled that file, and after an extensive review of it, our office made the decision to refile those charges. We believe there is enough to proceed, and we also do believe that this is a pattern for this person.
Keon King, that is the suspect in the disappearance of Kata Scott in Philadelphia. And what you heard there from the district attorney, there was a previous case against him, another victim, but the charges were dropped by the district attorney. We have an update on that from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Keon King, who police say abducted Kata Scott, has been charged with violently assaulting an ex-girlfriend twice in the last year, including kidnapping her and choking her in his car. But in both cases, the victim did not show up for court, so prosecutors withdrew the charges. After Scott's disappearance, and as investigators raced to find her, the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office now says that was a mistake. One of those cases, King's alleged assault and abduction of the woman in January, was largely captured on video, prosecutors say, so the case could have moved forward even without the woman's testimony. Everyone involved at this point, including the initial prosecutor, agrees that we wish this happened differently, said the assistant district attorney. Wish it happened differently? It's supposed to happen differently. This is what happens in domestic violence. Domestic violence victims often don't show up, change their story. We know that. Which is why and this is going back, like back to when Family Matters was on television and I was in the prosecutor's office. You treat these cases differently. Now, officials say the man in a video posted to TikTok by S4LCC is Keon King. The video shows King allegedly jumping over a fence and creeping around a woman's house. Take a look.
Go away. Don't come over here. Kerry, call the cops. Call the... It's all these kids in here. Call the cops, you dumb. Yeah, go away. Bye. Go away. Bye. Yep, bye. Bye. Keon out here.
A ticking time bomb. A ticking time bomb. The DA's office say, yeah, it's a mistake. It's not a mistake. Kata Scott is missing. Kata Scott might be dead. Let's bring back in our think tank. Claudia King, Josh Colesrud, and Lauren Vellucci with us. Josh, I'll start with you, and then everybody else take over from there. What is going on with the Philadelphia DA's office? I know they're in the business of setting people free, but shouldn't we treat people accused of domestic violence twice in the same year, once caught on video, a little differently than just saying, oh, they didn't show up, let's dismiss the charges, because that's what we do in Philadelphia.
Yeah, definitely surprised that that was the policy, at least at that time. You know, when I was a prosecutor, which I was for over about 15 years, the policy was always that we would subpoena the victim and we would even send an officer to go pick her up if she was reluctant. We would never dismiss a case just because a victim didn't show up or didn't want to prosecute. So I think that you really hit the nail on the head as well by pointing out that this wasn't a mistake. It was intentional by the district attorney to dismiss the case. And what you often see with domestic violence cases is an escalation of behavior. And so here we have a kidnapping, we have an assault allegation, and now we have this beautiful woman who has disappeared. And it's alleged that this, I would hate to use the word, but monster was the one that's responsible for making her disappear. He's the one that they arrested. He's the suspect. I can't wait to see how the mystery unfolds to see exactly what's going on here. And I'll leave it to the rest of the panel.
And Josh, just to kind of go off what you're saying. Sorry.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Sorry. Yeah, so I think there's a little lag. Josh, to go off what you were saying, not only are we talking about 2 cases where he stalked and kidnapped these women, but there is a 3rd woman who has a protective order out against him still that is good until 2027. And he was also looked into for attempted rape on another case. This man is a predator, but he's also mentally ill to some degree as well.
I mean, my heart was pounding just watching that video. He clearly is just confident doing whatever he wants, because even as that girl in the house was talking to him and saying, go away, and telling somebody to call the police, he's still creeping around to other windows. But I think the DA's office is firmly at fault here for letting this guy out. We know domestic violence cases are different. We know the victims are different. They're often reluctant to come forward in the first place and don't want to show up to court. They should have done better, especially with this defendant.
Yeah, what I really like that the DA's office, though, has, put the homicide unit on this case, as well as the homicide detectives. They're the most experienced of all of the detectives, and obviously the prosecutors are as well. This has become a high-profile case, unfortunately, but I do think that they've taken remedial steps to make up for what they did previously, which was fully prosecuting this person.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to the mindset in the DA's office. The mindset needs to be in every DA's office, you are part of law enforcement. You're not here to redo the system of justice. You're here to enforce the laws that are on the books, and they need to do that in every DA's office across the country. All right, Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, the trial you're watching on Court TV. He's a firefighter from Ireland coming to the United States for St. Patrick's Day, charged with rape, on trial. The accuser on the stand. You'll hear what she had to say.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Commonwealth had everything they needed to compare and contrast samples that they took from the body. They tested the swabs from the body not once, but multiple times. They tested swabs from all over her body and her underwear. And not once, not a single time did they find a trace of did they find a trace of Terence Crosbie's DNA? Not inside her, not outside her, not on her clothes, nowhere.
It's a rape case out of Boston, and the attorney for the accused, who was a firefighter from Ireland who was in Boston for the St. Patrick's Day parade, saying there's no DNA in this case. It's not a DNA case. There's no identifiable DNA on the victim that connects my client to her. So this appears to be one of those cases where you're not going to be able to use the science, at least according to the defense. So what is the most powerful evidence that the prosecution has? Well, they have the accuser, and she testified today. Let's take a listen.
I woke up to somebody on top of me, inside of me, in his penis in my vagina, on top of me, telling me, you like this, he couldn't give this to you, I'll give it to you, he's a loser.
Did you know who that person was?
Not at the time, no, but I knew it wasn't Liam because Liam was still asleep in the bed next to me.
How could you tell that he was still asleep?
He was continuing to snore, continuing to be in that same position. And, you know, after I had woken up and the next steps, he continued to be in that bed snoring.
Did he ever appear to wake up at all through the rest of the time you were in the room?
No.
When you woke up, and you said the person was inside of you, were you still on your back at that point, the same way you had fallen asleep?
Yes, I was on my back, and he had his weight on top of me with his hands at my shoulders.
Other than his penis inside of you, were you able to feel any other part of his body on your body?
I felt his weight on top of me, but no, I wasn't trying to feel anything else.
Where was his face in relation to yours?
He was above me.
Was his face, what was its proximity to yours, if you remember?
I mean, so I was lying down, so at that point, maybe, I don't know, with his hands on my shoulders, I don't know, maybe a foot, but I'm not really good at math, so.
Okay. Do you recall what you were looking at when you woke up? Did you see a person's face or
His
a chest or?
I saw his face.
Did you notice anything about the person's voice when he said those things to you?
There was also an accent, an Irish accent.
What volume was the man speaking at?
I would say it was normal to a whisper.
Were you able to tell anything about his physical appearance?
No, I mean, not at that time. I could feel his weight, of course, but not at that time, no.
Could you tell if he had clothes on?
He did not, no.
When you woke up, was the man already penetrating you?
Yes.
Did you know if he had... did you know what else he might have done before you woke up?
No, and I don't know how long that was happening for.
What did you do once you woke up and realized this was happening?
It took me a minute, or not really an actual minute, but it took me a few seconds to really wake up and realize what was happening. I heard him say what he had said. I said, "What are you doing? Stop." I tried to push him off of me. I was not successful for maybe a few minutes. I then eventually was able to maneuver my way out of the bed. I fortunately was on the side of the bed, so I was able to get my feet on the ground and roll out of the bed.
What was the man doing during the time that you were trying to push him off of you and trying to get out from underneath him?
He was continuing to put his weight on me. He was continuing to penetrate me. He didn't stop.
Did he say anything after you said, "What are you doing? Stop"?
No, he said, that I like it, that he couldn't give it to me because he's a loser, which I had assumed was Liam he's referring to.
How did you try to push him off of you?
With my hands, at his, whatever I could reach at. And then I think when that was not successful, I knew I wasn't going to be able to push him off. That's when I started to squirm around to try to get out a different way.
What were you focusing on, or what stands out in your mind from that time?
I was focusing on getting out. I was focusing on getting to safety.
You said that you were eventually able to get out from under him. What did you do once you got away?
So because my clothes were on the other side of the room, I had to collect them. As I was collecting them, he continued to follow me around, trying to kiss me, had pushed me up against the wall. Fortunately, I was able to collect my belongings while continuing to move towards the door. I eventually was able to get into the bathroom where I was able to get dressed. I knew that he was still at the door because he had jiggled the door. I took a moment to make a plan of escape to safety. And like is shown in the photos, like when you're in the bathroom, if you turn to the left, the door's pretty close. So, once I had my clothes on, I was able to exit the bathroom and exit the room.
I want to remind you, this is a retrial. There was a hung jury the first time. The defense is arguing that they don't have any DNA. They're saying he didn't do this. She had consensual relations with the man who slept through this on that bed, which apparently is the roommate of the defendant. Will they have enough? What happened inside that room? Let's bring back in our think tank, Claudia King, Josh Colesrud, and Lauren Vellucci. Lauren, what happened inside that room?
I think that what happened inside that room is exactly what she says. She comes off so credible to me. I know that it's a he said, she said case. However, this woman had the fortitude to immediately text someone, immediately tell someone the exact same story that she's getting up there and saying. And I don't believe in coincidences, Vinnie, because the same day that she had consensual sex with one of the guys, and then this guy allegedly tries to rape her, she goes immediately to the hospital, has a rape test kit done. There are 2 samples of 2 men's DNA, 2 different men, in that sample. And they weren't strong enough to tell who, but there was 2. And so I'm sorry, that to me seals the case.
I totally agree with what Lauren said, because the fact that she went immediately to the hospital and reported this, that says a whole lot to me. And she was very clear that she did have consensual sex with the roommate. So it just rings true to me. I would love to hear from Josh how he would handle this type of case if he were the defense attorney in here.
Well, thanks, Claudia. I would first want to really look at the corroboration, okay? Now, number one, you have a victim who is very sympathetic and appears to be credible. And she's saying that she was sexually assaulted. I don't think that anybody is saying that she wasn't. The issue is, who did it? Because she can't identify that person. And in fact, the forensics can't identify that person either. And juries hate these types of cases. When I was a prosecutor and supervising the sex crimes unit, I actually had a prosecutor I was supervising who lost a case like this and not guilty on a very similar set of facts. And that's because juries kind of think, well, maybe she put herself into that position because she was drunk. She met O'Brien that night and had sexual intercourse with him. And she stayed the night there when maybe they think a decent person wouldn't. And so there is that type of viewpoint that lingers among jury pools. And, prosecutors always are afraid that there's that type of perception, which apparently was there the first trial. So it's always going to come down to corroboration. Is there enough corroboration enough for a conviction here? And
we are
Josh, just to step in for. Oh.
We are out of time. We ran out of time. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. We need a 3-hour show. Great job. Great to see everyone. Josh Colesrud, Lauren Vellucci, and Claudia King. We appreciate it. When we come back, folks, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight. Plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, he paid thousands for an erotic fantasy, but ended up a victim of suffocation. She's charged with murder. Her phone likely holds the story. Can consent ever defend against a death recorded in detail? Tonight, we investigate.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Time to reveal something else you need to know, and you absolutely need to know this. Let's take a look at the big board. Speaking out. We are talking about the parents of Dan Markel, the victim of the Adelsons. Speaking out and reacting to what Donna and Harvey Adelson said in court at Donna's sentencing. Let's remind you of what they did say.
My son-in-law, Dan Markel, was a fine and decent man. He was well-educated and passionate about his career. He was a good son-in-law, but more importantly, he was a caring and loving father. My heart was broken when Danny died. My grandsons were going to grow up without the father who loved them. I wondered, how could we help these boys through this trauma? It was then that my husband and I knew that the best way to honor Danny's memory would be to share with these children an abundance of love, the love that Danny would have given them if he were alive.
Danny's parents contend that they have never seen their grandchild. But for years they say they've never seen her. But Wendy has shared with me pictures and videos and letters from their visits. They have suffered immensely at the loss of their son, but they also contend to tell lies to the court about our grandchildren.
And now the response from Dan's mother, Ruth Markel. During sentencing, our family listened in disbelief to the disrespectful and delusional statements made by both Donna and Harvey Adelson before Donna's sentencing for first-degree murder and other convictions of our son and brother, Dan Markel. Contrary to Donna's claim, she never mourned the loss of Danny's life, nor did she ever express concern for his sons losing their father. Testimony at her trial showed her callous indifference to his murder, including written evidence that she dismissed the very idea that the boys could be sad or miss their dad. It is deeply unfortunate that Harvey used this time before the court to challenge our family's account of our relationship with Dan's sons. We will set the record straight as we have in court and elsewhere. Our family was cut off from contact with the boys for 6 full years from the moment authorities implicated Adelson family members in Danny's murder until 1 hour after the Florida legislature passed the Markel Act. Since then, our interactions have been limited, mainly through Wendy's supervised Zoom calls and short visits. Wendy refuses to share their address, and gifts we send must be mailed to her lawyer's office. We were uninvited to the bar mitzvah. We were following Charlie's arrest and never invited to the other grandsons. We grieved the years lost and the years ahead without independent and direct contact with them. Beyond her crimes, Donna scorned Danny, drove deliberate wedges between him and Wendy, disparaged him to his own sons. Her display of emotion before the court was not remorse for Danny's death, but sorrow for the consequences she now faces for causing it. It's always good to get the other side, especially when you're looking for the truth. Let's take a look now at a missing child who needs your help. This is Michaela Flores, 16 years old, missing from Glendale, Arizona. If you see her, please call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Glendale Police Department in Arizona. The number's up on the screen. Let's see if we can get Michaela to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids. There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.